Welcome to Warriors News Fan Report, where every twist, turn, and rumor surrounding the Golden State Warriors gets broken down with the passion only a true fan can bring. If you bleed blue and gold and can't get enough of the drama, the strategy, and the what-could-be's of Dub Nation, you're in the right place. Now, before we dive into today's story, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for every second, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Every click keeps this conversation alive and pushes us deeper into the heart of what's really going on inside. Chase center dot, so here's the situation. More than a month has passed since NBA free agency officially tipped off, and yet the Warriors' front office still finds itself at the center of a deal that feels less like routine business and more like a high-stakes chess match. We're talking about a move that could completely reshape not just next season, but the long-term trajectory of this franchise. And the most intriguing part? It's all hanging on a single player whose future has been the subject of whispers, debates, and endless speculation. You know the type of story where the smoke has been building for weeks, and you're just waiting for the fire to break through. This is it. Reports coming out from one of the league's more trusted voices suggest that a Western Conference rival, one that's been inching closer and closer to playoff relevancy, is now on the verge of striking a deal with the Warriors. The terms? Let's just say they aren't small potatoes. We're talking about a sign-and trade that would include not just one of the most dynamic young players on Golden State's roster, but also a demand from the Warriors that could be seen as both bold and risky. An unprotected first-round pick way down the line in 2030. Think about that. Unprotected means no safety net, no top three protection, no fallback if the future goes sideways. It's like betting the deed to your house on a hand you haven't even seen yet. Now, what makes this story so electric is that this isn't just any trade piece we're talking about. This is a player who at just 22 years old was once positioned as the future of this franchise, the bridge between the championship core and whatever comes next. He's had moments that made you believe the torch could be passed seamlessly. Explosive drives to the rim, defensive flashes, stretches where he looked like he belonged on the floor with Steph, Clay, and Draymond in the biggest moments. But he's also had seasons, or parts of them, where things didn't click, where he struggled to find his rhythm in Steve Kerr's rotation, and where his role became a puzzle no one could quite solve. Last season in particular was a roller coaster. After showing real promise in his third year, expectations were sky high heading into the latest campaign. But for reasons that insiders say range from inconsistency to system fit, he found himself sliding down the depth chart. In a team where minutes are hard-earned and even harder to keep, he couldn't lock in a stable role. And the result was a year that fell short of the breakout everyone had hoped for. That drop in impact inevitably affected his value in contract talks. And when it came time for the Warriors to make an offer, it was clear they weren't willing to go as high as he, or perhaps his camp, believed he was worth. That's where things get complicated. As a restricted free agent, he can listen to offers from any team in the league. But because his price tag is steep, and many teams don't have the cap space to outright sign him, the only realistic way he leaves Golden State is through a sign-and-trade. And that's exactly what has brought us to this moment, with the Warriors reportedly in deep discussions with a team just a few hours down the California coast. The package on the table isn't just about players, it's about leverage, future assets, and a philosophical question. Do you stick with the homegrown talent you've been grooming for 4 years? Or do you flip the script and cash in while his value is still strong enough to draw serious offers? And then there's the other name being floated in this potential deal. A high-scoring guard who's coming off one of his best seasons and has a knack for delivering in big moments. If the reports are accurate, this player could be part of the Warriors' incoming package, potentially filling a role they've been quietly looking to upgrade. It's not just about swapping talent for talent. It's about recalibrating the roster to match the current window of contention while also protecting the future. Which is why that 2030 first-round pick is such a sticking point. We're talking about a future draft where the current Warriors core might be retired, restructured, or entirely unrecognizable. That pick could end up being gold, or it could be nothing. But if you're the team trading it away, that's a gamble that's hard to swallow. Fans are already split. Some are saying, this is exactly the kind of bold move we need to keep Steph's window alive. Others are warning that giving up on a young player with his physical gifts and upside could be a mistake the franchise regrets for years. And you can see both sides. On one hand, this team is built to win now. The veterans aren't getting any younger, and every season is another chance to chase a banner. On the other hand, the front office has been clear about wanting to develop the next generation alongside the current stars. SO trading away a player like this could be seen as a pivot away from that strategy. And here's where it gets really interesting. The player's rumored preferred destination just happens to be the same team that's closest to getting a deal done. It's not hard to imagine why more money, a clearer path to a starting role, in a system that might give him the freedom to explore the full scope of his game. But nothing is guaranteed. That team has its own depth chart loaded with established forwards and scorers, meaning even in a new city, you'd still have to fight for every minute dot. So the big question hanging over all of this is, what are the Warriors really prioritizing here? Is this about maximizing immediate returns for a title push? Or is it about avoiding the risk of losing a talented young piece for nothing down the road? And could this trade signal a larger shift in how the franchise approaches roster building? In the post-dynasty era, some insiders believe this could be the first domino in a chain of moves designed to reshape the roster entirely before the season even tips off. Others think it's a high-profile negotiation tactic meant to push the player toward accepting the Warriors' original offer. We've been here before as fans, staring down the possibility of saying goodbye to a player we've watched grow, knowing that the return could either spark the next great chapter or leave us wondering what if for years to come. The tension is real, and with every passing day the outcome feels closer. The only thing we know for sure, whatever happens, Next is going to send shockwaves through Dub Nation. If you're as hyped as I am for Warriors News Fan Report, smash that like button, subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the drama in blue and gold. Because right now, the idea floating through the air, the one some fans are calling impossible and others are calling inevitable, is the kind of scenario that could flip the entire NBA landscape on its head. The whispers aren't just about what the Warriors might lose, but about what they could gain. And the name being linked on the other side of this potential blockbuster has the kind of gravity that pulls an entire fan base into the debate. Luka Doncic? Yes, you heard it right. The MVP caliber triple-double machine who's been giving the Warriors fits every time he steps into Chase Center. In 12 career games against Golden State, Luka's averaged nearly 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists on over 47% shooting. And when the lights are brightest in the playoffs, we've seen him torch defenses with a mix of step-backs, cross-court lasers, and the kind of patience that bends entire defensive schemes. Could this mean the Warriors are ready to pair Steph Curry with the most gifted playmaker of his generation? Imagine that backcourt, Steph's gravitational pull opening up space for Luka's surgical passing. Luka's ability to hunt mismatches taking pressure off Steph in ways we've never seen before. Some insiders believe that in crunch time, with both on the floor, Golden State could essentially run a two-point guard offense without losing an ounce of shooting or playmaking. Is it possible that this is the masterstroke the front office has been holding back, waiting for the perfect moment to drop? But if that happens, the ripples through the roster are seismic. Jonathan Kuminga's departure in such a deal would immediately open minutes on the wing. Minutes that could swing to Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and yes, even Bronny James, whose arrival already had people speculating about long-term synergy with Steph and the Warriors' developmental system. Fans are wondering if Bronny's rookie year could turn into something more than just a learning season if the rotation opens up. And what about Draymond Green? If his presence is kept intact in such a scenario, you suddenly have Draymond quarterbacking the defense while Steph and Luka orchestrate the offense, a basketball brain trust unlike anything the league has ever seen. If he's gone, then the Warriors would be banking on speed, shooting, and surgical execution to offset the loss of their defensive anchor. And that's a gamble with stakes as high as a Game 7. The rivals are watching closely. The Nuggets, with Jokic's all-seeing court vision, could be the ultimate test of whether Steph and Luka can outgun the reigning champs in a 7-game series. The Thunder, stacked with young legs and a rising superstar in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, would see such a move as an arms race escalation, pushing them to accelerate their own timeline. And the Clippers? You better believe they'd smell blood in the water, knowing that any seismic roster shift takes time to gel, especially with the playoffs looming. Could this trade signal to the entire Western Conference that Golden State is once again ready to dictate terms instead of reacting to them? And then there's the psychology. Luka Doncic hasn't exactly been shy about his desire to compete at the highest level with real championship pieces around him. Joining Steph could be that chance. But would Luka adapt to the Warriors system, the constant motion, the split cuts, the unselfish passing, or would the system adapt to him? Some analysts are already predicting that the Warriors will become a hybrid, part pace and space dynasty machine, part Luka-led pick-and-roll clinic, a combination that could shatter defensive game plans. Social media's already a war zone over the idea. Andre Iguodala tweeted a cryptic hours after the first rumor broke. Shams is being tagged in every fan-made Photoshop of Luka in a Warriors jersey. One fan wrote, "Steph's gravity plus Luka's vision? Just give us the trophy." Another countered, "Lose Kuminga and Dre, and you lose the soul of this team." Even national media voices are split, some praising the boldness, others warning that dismantling the current core's chemistry could backfire. From a numbers standpoint, Luka's three-point percentage has hovered around 35% the past 2 seasons, but his step-back triples in big moments have a psychological weight far beyond their raw efficiency. Pair that with Steph's career 42% from deep, and you have two players who can warp a defense before they even cross half court. The Warriors' current offensive rating sat at 115.6 last season, middle of the playoff pack. Analysts say adding Luka's scoring and playmaking could push that toward historic territory, especially in clutch-time situations where Golden State's execution sometimes faltered without a secondary offensive engine dotting yet. The risk looms large. The Warriors are built on rhythm, trust, and the unspoken language of players who bled together through championship runs. Bringing in a megastar changes that dynamic. Could this be the turning point where the Warriors evolve into something entirely new, or the moment they strayed too far from what made them great? Personally, as a ride-or-die member of Dub Nation, I can't stop picturing it. Steph dancing off ball, Luka orchestrating from the top, the defense scrambling, the chase. Center crowd in a frenzy as the scoreboard lights up. It's bold, it's dangerous, and it's exactly the kind of gamble that could bring another banner to the rafters. But what do you think? Is this bold enough to bring another banner to Chase Center? Or is it a step too far from the Warriors? Identity? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts, and subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report so you never miss another explosive update.